Walter went back to fishing even though he got really scared when he met a big bear. He didn't want this scary experience to stop him from doing what he loved. But a few weeks later, he met a mommy bear who asked him to help her baby bear that was hurt. Walter did something very brave and amazing. Walter really loved fishing. It was like his favorite thing to do in the whole world. He felt calm and happy when he fished, especially when he went out to the countryside with his wife and dog. They had a cute little cabin there just for fishing trips, and sometimes Walter's friends came along. They'd all hang out, talk about the old times, and have some beers. Whenever they went on these trips, they'd talk about the bears that lived in the woods. Even though Walter had never seen one, his friends would share stories about their encounters with bears. Some had only seen bears from far away, while others had scary stories about bears charging at them while they fished. From what Walter heard, these encounters sounded really frightening. Men who had encountered bears frequently advised others to carry a weapon for self-defenses. Despite the warnings, Walter held the belief that weapons were not necessary. He maintained that he would be defenseless if he were ever in the woods with the bear, rationalizing that it wouldn't be the bear's fault if he were in their territory. During winter, he often found himself confined to the city, preoccupied with work and coping with the frigid weather. The combination of sub-zero temperatures and biting wind chill often forced them to stay indoors, much to Walter's annoyance. He despised being cooped up, particularly since he realized he couldn't go fishing for at least another 2 months. With the arrival of spring, Walter eagerly awaited the opportunity to embark on a journey and retreat into the woods. However, during one such trip, he couldn't foresee the unexpected encounter that awaited him in the wilderness. Filled with excitement like a child on Christmas morning, Walter packed his gear and led his dog and wife into the car and headed for the countryside. Upon reaching the cabin, he hastily unloaded the vehicle and dashed off to indulge in a fishing session before sundown. It was a day that couldn't have been more perfect. Upon his return that evening, Walter informed his wife of his plans to venture out at daybreak the following morning to see what he could catch. Encouraging his passion for fishing, she urged him to have a productive session the next day. Little does she know the ordeal that was about to unfold. As Walter reached the river, he carefully laid down his equipment and surveyed his surroundings. That's when he noticed something. After ensuring that the area was safe, he began to fish. However, after just 30 minutes, he couldn't shake off the feeling of being watched. Despite the strange sensation, he tried to concentrate on his fishing. Walter quickly reeled in his line with great force as he got a bite. However, his excitement was short-lived when he unexpectedly saw a colossal bear standing before him, snatching his catch. As the realization of the situation dawned upon him, Walter instinctively reacted without much thought. With a possessive feeling towards his catch, he ran towards the bear while shouting. All he knew was that he wouldn't allow himself to be attacked while fishing. He had misinterpreted the bear's intentions. The bear had no interest in him. It was only after snatching the fish that it simply turned around and fled from the human. But Walter's actions were too hasty. In his attempt to scare the bear, he ended up running into the river, and in the process, his leg caught onto a rock, causing him to fall face first into the water. Walter was overwhelmed by the searing pain pulsating from his leg as he lifted himself out of the water. He realized then and there that he had inflicted significant damage. With great difficulty, Walter dragged himself to the shore and stood up on his one good leg. He hobbled painfully back to the cabin. His wife was shocked by what had happened and immediately put him in the car, rushing him to the hospital. Walter's assumption was correct. His leg was severely broken. The incident marked the end of the spring fishing season. He had to return home and focus on healing, anticipating being unable to fish again until autumn. This news was hard for Walter, and the 12 weeks of waiting seemed like an eternity. The days slowly passed until it was time for his final checkup. Once the doctors cleared him, he was eager and ready to start fishing again. His wife was apprehensive about him encountering a bear again, fearing that he might not be as lucky as before. However, he was persistent and determined. He wouldn't let a bear stop him from doing something he loved. Walter was aware that if he encountered the bear again, he would have to protect his catch or face the bear in a way that wouldn't end up with him, injured in a river. After his last checkup, 2 weeks passed, and he and his companions packed their car and headed back to the woods. Upon arrival, he walked towards the river to observe any changes that might have occurred. Sitting at the water's edge, he indulged in the moment, savoring its tranquility. Upon returning and gearing up for some fishing, he felt overwhelming gratitude. However, as he surveyed his surroundings, he couldn't shake the feeling of being under surveillance again. As he turned around, a massive bear loomed before him. Walter braced himself for a potential altercation, recognizing that he hadn't even begun fishing yet, leaving him as the only possible object of the bear's attention. As he assumed a defensive position and prepared for the worst, he was taken aback by what ensued. The bear did not attempt to harm him or initiate an assault. It remained still before him, gazing into his eyes as if attempting to communicate, but he was too agitated to comprehend the unspoken message. Eventually, the creature stepped back and brought one of her offspring forward. Unbeknownst to Walter, the mother bear had 2 cubs huddled behind her. She directed one of the cubs forward and placed it by her feet. With a gentle nudge, she urged the restless cub to inch closer to Walter. Bewilderment consumed him as he struggled to comprehend the situation unfolding before him. He had assumed that the large bear wished to expel him from their territory, causing him to take a step back in apprehension. However, the mother bear only drew her cub closer to him, prompting Walter to notice something he hadn't before. The young bear was attempting to stand up and return to its mother, but it was hobbling severely, reminiscent of when it had fractured its leg. Gradually, Walter advanced toward the tiny cub and lifted it by the nape of its neck. Gazing at the troubling limb of the tiny creature, he immediately noticed the problem. A sizable, vicious thorn was embedded deeply in the young bear's paw. The mother bear implored him to rescue her cub from a painful injury she could not heal alone. Walter experienced a poignant feeling in his heart and resolved to undertake an act as daring as it was incredible. With a fast move, he quickly took out the thorn as fast as he could. The baby bear made a short cry but then seemed to calm down. The mother bear got worried when she heard the cry but felt better when she saw her baby was okay. After putting the cub down, Walter watched it run back to its mom. The big bear nudged him to say thanks, and then left with her baby close behind. Walter was amazed and rushed home to tell his wife about this amazing event. He couldn't believe that he had encountered 2 big bears and they didn't try to hurt him. He thought his friends would be really jealous of his adventure, and he was sure he'd remember it forever. What do you think of this incredible story? Share your thoughts in the comment section. Thank you.